Hello, my AP US history friends. Hope everybody is doing well. If you missed class last Friday, this video is for you. So if you're out for the SATs or just in general or just want a little recap, hopefully run through some of the slides we went through in our last class. So anywho, we're following along with the slides presentation called Post-World War II America. And this video is going to pick up just after the Joseph Stalin political cartoon with a title of the slide called The Red Scare. We've already had a Red Scare, obviously. We saw that, during World War I with like the Palmer raids and after the Russian Revolution. But when we think of the Red Scare, this is really what we think about. This is the one that people will generally come to mind when they talk about like fears of communism and such, right? Essentially, the United States, after, we win World War II, the Russians continue to scare us. I mean, they almost immediately become our enemies, as we saw with like the Winston Churchill Iron Curtain, the world is divided speech. So anyways, this takes an effect at home. Where general fear of communism in the American public is rampant, but also in the government. Because if you were a communist and you were looking to infiltrate or affect American society, you would really go to two places. You would go to one, politics, Washington, D.C. You would also, secondly, probably go to Hollywood to control like the media. It's almost like if you were a communist government today and you wanted to influence America, you would probably infiltrate social media. Which is, look up the whole TikTok fight. That's what we're doing right now. It's amazing how things connect. But yeah, right? Anyways, we're going to investigate people specifically in government positions in Hollywood. We're going to order the background check of CIA, federal employees, and we do actually find some people. There is a decent reason for the suspending of civil liberties. Because remember, it's not illegal to be a communist. That's freedom of speech. That's freedom of expression, right? But, people are going to ostracize you from society for believing in this. There is some credibility, though, given to this because of a group called the Rosenbergs, a couple called the Rosenbergs. They are credited with stealing the nuclear bomb secrets and distributing them to Russia. So this only heightens the fear of Americans during the Red Scare because they're like, look, we found some people in the CIA and the FBI with communist sympathies are working for Russia, and the Rosenbergs are directly responsible for the Soviet Union getting the bomb. Now, they would have gotten the bomb anyways, I'm sure, within just a couple years of 1949. But it comes out, this whole spy network with the Rosenbergs involved. Julius and Ethel, they're a couple. The U.S. government does sentence them to death, by the way. There's this whole national debate over whether or not we should be killing the Rosenbergs or not for espionage, for spying. Letters come in even from Albert Einstein, who writes that we should not be killing the Rosenbergs for this. The Soviets would have gotten the bomb anyways. But anyways, we do put them both to death, which only heightens the fear of Americans in the Red Scare. So much so that a group is formed in Congress. It's called HUAC. It gets a star exclamation point. It gets asked about all the time. It stands for the House Un-American Activities Committee. Well, what's the un-American activity they're looking for? Obviously, communists, right? It's led by a man named Joseph McCarthy. It's also sometimes known as McCarthyism, right? Which is basically this idea of Congress investigating you, suspending your civil liberties, like your First Amendment right to freedom of speech and expression. Again, not illegal to be a communist, right? Your Fourth Amendment right to privacy, right? Which, they're going to investigate people, look into their family histories, ask their family and friends, and try to force them to give information against people, which again, Amendment number 5, non-self-incrimination. So, and then cruel and unusual punishment. If you are found to be a communist, that's not illegal, but you're still sentenced to jail or fined or blackballed from society. All of those are violations of the constitutional amendments. So, HUAC does find some communists in Hollywood and in the media and in the government, but the actual height of it all, the importance of it all, is blown way out of proportion. McCarthy gets away with this for a few years, most famously investigating a group called the Hollywood 10, which worked for the Screenwriters Guild of America. Again, if you were a communist looking to infiltrate American society, you would probably start in Hollywood, try to control the media of it all. So they looked at the people that were writing television. The Hollywood 10 are eventually investigated, and when you do a DBQ, you're going to see an interview with the sort of the leader of the Hollywood 10. His name is J. Howard Lawson, and he basically explains that they are stepping on the Constitution. They are, the most un-American thing in America is the House Un-American Activities Committee. Because would you rather step all over the Constitution or, have some communists in your society? It's a pretty interesting debate. So anyways, we went through that. So another example of the government suspending civil liberties, in order to find what they want or get what they want. Again, led by a guy named Joseph McCarthy. He eventually gets kicked out, by the way, because he starts investigating the military and come on, America loves the military / World War II just happened. So once he starts investigating veterans, and especially during the Korean War, the Army really steps in. They start to discredit him. You might see 2 political cartoons with McCarthy, by the way. They're not on the slides, but I described them. One is him driving a car labeled HUAC, and he's essentially driving through a crowd of people. And he turns around and he goes, "It's okay, we're hunting communists." So you're trampling people, running people over in the name of searching for communists, right? Then the second one you'll see, it's a picture of McCarthy. He's holding up pieces of paper. He used to walk into Congress with a list of names to like basically scare people, and he would say, "I have here on this list a list of names of suspected communists." He would do this all the time to keep fear going, in order to keep people in line, thinking that they might be the next ones investigated, keeping his own power. But once again, he tries to do that for the Army. It doesn't work. The last thing we talked about in class was MAD. This is also a very important topic. It gets a **! Exclamation point. It basically holds the world together during the Cold War. MAD stands for Mutually Assured Destruction. It's this idea that if, hey, I am going to be a country that nukes another country, that country is then going to nuke me back. So I won't nuke them in the first place. This is what really holds the world together through like the Cuban Missile Crisis, through numerous events in the Cold War, because Russia knew if they launched one at us, we're going to launch one at them, and vice versa. So nobody ends up launching a nuke in the first place because we would all die is really the point. And who wants to be the one to end the world? You'll see that the slides sort of end with a few political cartoons that are pretty common. One I pulled from more modern times. It's definitely, Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un going on here, talking about, relationships with North Korea. Then there's 2 from the actual time period. One with John F. Kennedy. He's arm wrestling the leader of the Soviet Union after Stalin dies. His name's Nikita Khrushchev. I got a funny story for you in class about him tomorrow. But they're arm wrestling while they're sitting on nuclear bombs, because it doesn't matter who wins the arm wrestling match. If one of them does, everybody dies anyways. The bombs go off. And then the last 2 political cartoons there, you see a nuclear bomb standing over a peace table that says "A just and workable peace or else." So basically the threat of the bomb helps get things done in world politics. You might hear me make this argument sometimes that nuclear bombs, the invention of them, have probably saved millions more lives than they actually caused in deaths, right? The only nuclear bomb deaths we have are Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But all the wars that could have happened between the U.S. and Soviet Union that were stopped because of MAD, because of nuclear bombs, is pretty important. Then the last political cartoon you see are 2 armies shooting bows and arrows at each other, even though they have these giant missiles behind them, because they know if either side uses the nuclear missiles, the missiles they have behind them, everybody would die. But anyways, that's what we got up to in class. If you're in first period, we started the DBQ that we're going to outline in class tomorrow. If you're in second period, we went through your test, so we did not go through that. I will give that DBQ out in class tomorrow. Anyways, if anybody has any questions, feel free to email me. I tried to keep this under 8 minutes, and I'm going to by 5, 4, 3, 2,